Your voice, your vote. Almost 2 million Arizona voters have already signed up to get mail-in ballots, and many others will be heading to the polls to cast their votes early. Some voting centers in Maricopa County will be open as early as October 7th, and even more, of course, as we approach Election Day.
ABC 15's Nicole Valdez getting an exclusive rundown on how it will all work and what you can expect at the polls this year.
Maricopa County hitting a new record this week with more than 2.5 million registered voters, meaning they'll be getting more ballots and seeing more voters than ever before.
It is going to look a little bit different, but the process for voting is largely the same.
Kelly Dixon, the county's assistant training director, giving me an exclusive look and walking me through this year's in-person voting process.
So once the voter walks through, they would go to the sitebook check-in station. As you can see, if we have a line here, we're just sort of utilizing that bank or grocery store experience. Wait here for the next available terminal.
You'll see a tablet called a sitebook, and that's where you're going to scan your ID, verify your voter info, then grab a poll worker.
The poll worker has to tell the sitebook, what ID did we see today? If the voter brought, let's say, a valid Arizona driver's license, that's all we need to see. I call it the fast pass.
Because that's all you'll need. If you've got other things, though, a voter ID card or a utility bill, for example, you'll need to show multiple before getting your ballot. Then they hit print and you're ready to vote.
They'll be here taking their time, making their selections. It's a pretty long ballot for the general, so it's going to be double-sided. We anticipate folks are going to need some extra time here just to make their decisions.
But there's some things you'll want to know before getting in your car.
So I think the most obvious thing for voters is they may not be voting at a location that they voted at during the last general election.
In 2016, Maricopa County had 500 polling locations across the valley. This year, only 170. But here's why.
We're largely working with a vote center model, which means that for most of our locations, you can live anywhere in Maricopa County and drive up to a vote center location and vote there.
Still none more than 5 miles away from any given voter, according to election officials. And this year, there'll be larger locations for social distancing, of course.
Notice that the voting booths behind me are each 6 feet apart.
But when it comes to mask wearing, poll workers will encourage you to do it. They'll even offer you one if you walk in without one. But even if you say no, by law,
if I choose not to wear a mask, I cannot be turned away without being given the opportunity to cast a vote.
But fewer locations and larger venues means more people at each location. In 2016, we saw long lines and voters stuck waiting for hours at some valley polls. So how can we avoid this?
Most of our locations will have up to 10 sitebook check-in stations. Some may have up to 15, which means that we can accommodate 10 to 15 voters all voting all checking in and obtaining their ballot at the same time.
They'll also have about 12 poll workers helping guide voters through, multiple ballot printers, and there's other options that should help speed things up too. Drop boxes for one, where voters can just walk their ballot in and walk out without having to wait in line. But you also have a lot more time too.
We don't anticipate any lines. And if we can get people to help us help them and say, go on a Saturday, go on a Sunday, go on a Monday, or even 27 days out.
Early voting director Ray Valenzuela.
Instead of 1 day of voting, you have 27 days, a season of voting, rather than election day.
And a brand new option on the list. Maricopa County says starting October 24th, you can drive through some local sports complexes like Scottsdale Stadium, Salt River Fields, even State Farm Stadium, and drop off your early ballot without even getting out of the car. All ways you can cast your ballot easily, quickly, and as early as possible to ensure it counts.
and that season starts on October 7th when sites like this one off Hayden and McDowell will open up. But not all 170 are going to do that all at once. That'll happen in phases, and you can check out which ones at locations.maricopa.vote. And once they open up, you can actually go on there and see the wait time so that you can choose what works best for you. As always, you can reach out to us with questions or issues at yourvote@abc15.com. I'm Nicole Valdez, ABC 15, Arizona.
Nicole, thanks. And if you haven't registered to vote yet, the clock is ticking. You only have 10 days left. Head to your county's elections website or go to arizona.vote.